Over the weekend of the 31st of January and the 1st of February, a team of miggle developers got together to have an in-depth look at Drupal 8, which is currently at beta. They wanted to establish to what extent Drupal 8 was usable as a content management system to build production sites right now. They also wanted to get an idea of when Drupal 8 launches, what changes it would mean to our established processes and procedures for developing sites in Drupal 7. We're going to take a look at a video now that shows you how they got on.
I'm going to build out a blog using Drupal 8 configuration management and Twig and version control.
Okay.
I'm going to be migrating a Drupal 7 site to Drupal 8 and be focusing on the theme inside of it.
I am migrating an existing Miggle client website to Drupal 8 to see how it improves the user experience.
I'm going to build out a search interface using the Search API and hopefully connect to external services such as Apache Solar.
So my plan is to basically look at our deployment and see how deploying Drupal 8 sites will be different from deploying Drupal 7 sites. Also looking at the infrastructure, things like Drush 7, Composer, and everything that kind of surrounds the operations side of Drupal 8.
I'm going to look at Drupal 8 from the point of view of a dumb site builder, as in installing it on Acquia Dev Desktop and just seeing what obvious hitches, changes, differences sort of make themselves known.
So what are you going to be focusing on this weekend?
Today I'm going to be building a module that uses a Chuck Norris quotes API to create a blog that you can place anywhere on your Drupal 8 site, and probably add a token as well, so you can put a little token of a Chuck Norris quote into any emails that the site sends, or something along those lines.
Great.
So I think one of the key takeaways from this weekend is the fact that certainly there's a lot more that needs to happen in Drupal 8 to make it production ready. There's certainly a lot of contrib modules which are still catching up. There's certainly lots of things in core which have still got issues with it. And there's not necessarily documentation around all the stuff that is there. So from my perspective, there's some things around configuration management which could do with standardizing, and certainly from our workflow, that's something I'd like to standardize as we kind of move forward with Drupal 8. There's a number of themes which maybe we could help with porting over to Drupal 8. I think that theming is something which we're quite strong on in-house, and something that we can certainly look at. From a search API perspective, it may be a little bit too complex at this point, but certainly we rely on search on Apache Solar and search experiences a lot. So it's going to be a while before that's stable, and that's something which we should probably look at getting involved in if we can. So just using Search API in Drupal 7 would be a good start, and so I think on our next projects we'll use Search API for everything that we're doing there. There's a number of modules which still need porting, so Adam highlighted the media module. That's something that maybe we could look at, seeing if there's stuff that we could help with on that. I know Ian's looked at patching the existing media module before, and there's probably some things there which we might be able to help with. And certainly from a testing perspective, we should probably log any of the issues that we found today and try and kind of find out the people who are responsible or people who might already know of these issues and see if we can contribute any of our feedback to that. And generally, if there's any way we can fix those bugs. So I think over the weekend we've certainly noticed a number of those things. I mean, I noticed an issue with the Vlad vagrant box that we're using and have contributed that fix back. And so there's probably other areas that we can contribute back as well. So I think it's all about just trying to seek out the people who are responsible at the moment for those areas of Drupal which are going to be essential for us going forward. And if there isn't people already spearheading those areas of Drupal, then we should look to get involved in that as much as possible, I think. But I'm certainly open to everyone else kind of pitching in and seeing if there's specific areas that they want to focus on.
I think another big thing that we need to do to contribute back to the community is start writing documentation that we submit to Drupal.org, because I noticed in my development over the weekend that many bits of functionality just don't have much, if any, documentation at all. And it made it quite difficult for me to try and figure out how to get from point A to point B.
Well, I think one of the challenging things as well is the fact that it's not got a stable release yet. There's still issues. And so I think everyone is holding back from kind of committing to anything, getting like modules ported or writing documentation stuff because it's still in flux. Certainly the configuration stuff I looked at, there was comments on a blog article which was written 5 months ago, and all the comments said, oh, this has changed now. You need to adjust your entire blog article to basically say this. And actually what I was doing was testing it against the latest development version, which didn't work. So, there's generally everything in flux at the moment. So I think it's just see what happens once it becomes stable, I guess.
If there was no Drupal 7 6.5.4.3.2.1 and Drupal 8 were your only option for building a website in, what kind of website could you build in it and push to production now?
You could build bishops.
Right.
You couldn't build...
So basically fairly simple brochureware websites where you're not looking at doing too much in terms of stuff with images, relying on too many derivatives being created for images because of all the stuff that you're missing in media module that you could do.
You've still got the things like all the image styles and so on and so forth. Okay. That's all still there.
All right.
From the media module's point of view, it's all the reusing media items, which you need. That doesn't work in the standard one. You have to upload every single time, and also just having a gallery to work with.
Right. Could you build the miggle site in it?
Yeah, I think so.
I would think so.
Yeah, you probably could.
Yeah.
So the theming on that would be more complicated, or would that?
I think if anything, it would be easier. From kind of what I've done today with theming, I've been able to go from pretty standard HTML site to Drupal in a couple of hours, and it was really quite easy once I understood what I was doing. I think also the other thing that is a big issue at the moment with Drupal 8 is anything kind of on the back end that requires any kind of modifying of data. If the data that you enter is what's going to be displayed, then I think that's pretty straightforward, and I'd feel comfortable offering that as a service. But it's when you kind of get to more complex things and you have to link data together and things like that, that's when it gets a bit more challenging.
So what about things like the feeds module? Is that in any?
Well, I didn't look at that.
Right.
There is a version 8 release for it, but no idea how good it is.
Right.
I think one of the key things that we were looking at yesterday was the modules that we've come to rely on from an administration perspective that are missing. And yeah, as Xavier's saying, if it's a standard content type that just has a title, body, and an image, that's easy enough. But when it's got a relationship to another kind of content model, then we like to present it all in one place, make it a really kind of nice experience for the client, and that facility just doesn't exist in Drupal 8 at the moment.
If we knew more about Search API, given that most of our knowledge around search is around the Apache Solr module, would it be possible to actually build search experiences in Drupal 8 at the moment, or is there still stuff missing?
I went through a couple of routes. So the Search API module as it is now kind of allows you to define an index in the server, and you can start putting documents in the index. But the only way to kind of have the experience is via views, and I basically just hit a bit of a problem with that. I got a fatal error and couldn't figure out where to fix that. So that's kind of a blocker for that. There's also a module for Drupal 7 called Search API Pages, which basically provides the kind of front end user experience for search that doesn't have a Drupal 8 branch yet. So,
and then from a client perspective, like clients are asking us, where's Drupal 8 at the moment? What should we be expecting from it?
I think it depends on the client, really. I think that if you've got a big site, I don't think Drupal 8 is going to be ready in a while for big sites. I think for smaller sites, we need to start kind of thinking about how we would tackle on problems using Drupal 8. But overall, it's not ready yet for production sites, in my opinion. And I think the more complex site you've got, the longer it's going to be until it is ready. But it is definitely worth starting to look into and create some good practices around how we use it and deploy
From
it.
a client's sort of point of view, in terms of user experience, there's not going to be a huge amount of training because there isn't a huge amount of difference really from the front end side of it.
I think with the inline editing, then if that becomes stable to a point where that's really usable, then that's great. There's also a Tor API, which means that you could actually put into configuration an experience that takes the administrators through their site and tells them where to enter things, and tells them how to actually interact with the site. So that, I've not necessarily used it, but I've seen the demos of it, and it looks pretty good. There'd be something where we could actually kind of build software and carry into it the actual instructions of how to use it.
integrate with documentation.
Yeah.
So it's emailing files, and then people saying, where are the files?
Yeah, exactly.
But I think apart from those points, my feeling is the clients wouldn't see that much difference because a lot of Drupal 8 is just incorporating things that you were doing already. So with various add-on modules and configuration in Drupal 7. So it'll make things hopefully simpler and more reliable from a building point of view.